Hi, I'm Meenakshi Shedde, South Asia delegate to the Berlin Film Festival. I'm here in Berlin at the end of the festival giving you a wrap up of the festival, but I'm also here at the historic Bayerischer Platz, an area in Berlin where there was a large Jewish community that originally came from Bavaria. But this was also the place, along with many others, where the Nazis deported many Jews to many places in Europe. So in many places you have something called Stolperstein, which is stumbling stone, which is a small plaque on the street in the pavement, usually in front of the house where somebody lived. In this building lived so and so, lived so and so, lived so and so was murdered in 1942 or deported in 1941 to Riga, to Sobibor, to Łódź in Poland. And I think it's an important daily way of remembering the horrors that happened that should never happen again. So the city is really imbued with history. And yes, I bring you a wrap-up of the Berlin Film Festival. It was an exceptional year for India. I bring you a wrap-up but also speak of 3 films that I did not mention earlier. There were 7 films from India and 8 Berlinale talents selected. So that's 15 films and talents selected from India and South Asia. That's an exceptional year. Because every film has been selected from about 8,000 entries and every Berlinale talent has been selected from about 4,000 entries. So each one is a remarkable selection. The 7 films are Shadowbox, Bakshabandi by Tanushree Das and Soumyananda Sahi. It had a world premiere in the Perspectives, the new section for first fiction features. It had a very warm reception at its world premiere. And Tilottama Shom is absolutely luminous as a Kolkata housewife, Kolkata suburban housewife, who is determined to be devoted to her husband and son. And her husband is kind of mentally challenged. He's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. He's been a former soldier. He's very disturbed. And she's actually a single parent bringing up 2 kids, her young son and her husband. They both need serious caregiving. And she's very determined to stand by him and by the marriage at any cost, regardless of the price to her. And it was very warmly received. And then we have a very unusual film in Panorama, Arjun Talwar's Letters from Wolf Street, a very unusual film. Arjun was a mathematician in Delhi who decided one day to move to Poland to be an artist along with his friend. And this film is actually shot over 10 years in Poland and in the street where he lived. And through these micro insights, you get these very interesting observations and very personal observation of Polish society, how it has evolved, and its many contradictions. And he also develops a bond. He kind of becomes like a Bollywood wedding planner to a Romano gypsy guy that he makes friends with. And it's very interesting how there's a kind of connection between these 2 outliers in Polish society who are struggling to fit in, and Arjun as an immigrant trying to fit in. It's very funny, it's very poignant, it's very insightful, and altogether delicious. Arjun has now moved back. He now lives in Goa. And then we also had in Panorama Lesbian Space Princess, a debut animation feature by 2 women, very, very unusual, from Africa. From Australia, by an Australian Indian, Leela Varghese and Emma Huff Hobbs. Both of them are very gifted and won 2 big prizes. One was the Teddy Awards given for the best LGBTQ film. It won Best Feature Film and also won the Panorama Audience Award for Second Best Feature. And it's about Saira, who's jolted into action to rescue her ex-girlfriend Kiki, who's kidnapped in outer space, and how she has to deal with straight white malians. It's very funny. And her journey to rescue Kiki actually becomes a journey of self-discovery. There's a lot of psychological insights there, and it's very, very funny. And then we also have, in the forum, we have Vagachi Pani, Tiger's Pond by Natesh Hegde. It's a small, delicate, very strong Kannada film set in a very tiny village, and it observes ambition and power and the intersection of caste and how a powerful landlord who's determined to win the election at any cost actually influences the village. And there's a mentally challenged woman, Pati, at the heart of it, who's exploited. And her exploitation is a sign of what's to come. Very powerfully directed, and it had very high-profile people backing the film. Producers include Anurag Kashyap, Jeremy Chua from Singapore, Ranjan Singh, and also had a French sales agent, Loco Films, an altogether very high international profile for a small, very delicate and powerful Kannada film. And then we have, in the generation section, we have Reema Das's Village Rockstars 2, which is a very poignant, beautiful. It's not a sequel, but it's a follow-up to her Village Rockstars of 2017, in which Banita Das, who still plays Dhunu, also plays a grown-up Dhunu now. She still has the same dream of pursuing her dream of becoming a musician, but she has to encounter many challenges, and there's a heartbreaking scene which there was not a dry eye in the audience. It's very deeply moving, very heartfelt. And it also celebrates a lot of ordinary, glorious, everyday joys, the joys of growing up, but also very poignant and emotional connection between people and trees and with the earth. So there is a very beautiful bond there, which really comes of living in that place. It doesn't come from only living in Bombay, and that's very powerfully evoked. And then in the same section in Generation, in the Children's Plus, Kinder Plus, very beautiful short film Ruse by Riya Shukla. It's about three girls, kind of adolescent, pre-adolescent, who are left to themselves on a rainy afternoon in the house of one of them, Revati, whose mother has gone out. And they're hanging around playing playing hide and seek, rummaging in her mother's dressing table, putting on lipstick and earrings and so on. And then they start to dance. And there is a delicate moment in the dance when there's a kind of a frisson, when they're kind of discovering their sexuality, their bodies. It's a very delicate moment. Nothing happens, but it's very delicately evoked, this moment of discovery. And then her mother comes in suddenly and, kind of default setting to zero, to normal. Very powerfully, delicately evoked with cinematography by Tanmay Chaudhary. And then we have, in the Forum Expanded section, we have Beneath the Placid Lake by Kush Badwar and Vaijayanti Rao. This is a slide carousel projection. So Forum Expanded, the section in which it is a very experimental section, exploring the cinema, the space between cinema and the other arts. And this was an evocation of a huge dam built in Telangana in South India a long time back, which drowned out more than 100 villages and more than 150,000 people were displaced. And one of the professor's researchers had this idea of what happened in the Aswan Dam in Egypt, where a number of famous temples were dismantled brick by brick and reassembled elsewhere on higher ground. And he proposed that this should happen as well. And the film explores the aftermath of this. And Kush Badwar earlier had a film called Blood Earth, also in the Forum Expanded, about 11 years ago. And he had collaborated then with the Delhi collective Word Sound Power. And this film is in collaboration. It's an Indo-Finnish from Finland collaboration with Vaijayanti Rao, who's an anthropologist and curator and interested in displacement and memory and imagined futures. I think all in all, this was a remarkable year with 15 films and talents, and really a lot of very small handmade films from Kannada industry, Bengal, Assamese films, finding really high international profiles, international people backing them as producers, as sales, as distribution, etc. And that's, despite every challenge thrown at them, it's a sign of the rude health of independent Indian cinema, at least some voices, and that's always a very encouraging sign. It's a good year for India and South Asia.